No desire and no intention to impose our form of government on anyone else.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We're also broadcasting live on social media, and this show is brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. I'm your host, Ryan Stacy. Today is my birthday. I was almost late for this, celebrating all day, but I was able to make it here, so I'm happy to be here to as my unofficial birthday episode. I'm a licensed private investigator as the director of investigations for the Experiencers Support Association. I use my investigative skills to dive headfirst into the hidden mysteries of UFO, paranormal activity, and consciousness phenomena. All right, thanks for tuning in, and let's get ready. Hello, Lisa. I see you. So if you're in the chat, feel free to chat amongst yourself or say hello. I'm going to try my best to address it. All right, so we're going to get into, thank you, Lisa. Happy birthday, Ryan. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. It's been a good day, really good day. Spent some time with my wife today, which we haven't been able to do since we started dating a long time ago. And the kid was in school, so we were able to get out and do something fun. And I was really grateful to be able to do that and make it home in time to do this. So I'll share a little bit. I don't want to share too much because the CIA is listening. All right. So we're going to get into the ultra spectrum. So might as well play that jingle as soon as I find it. Here we go.
The ultra spectrum, putting it all together.
All right. So, last week's episode, I talked about our reporting system. So if you haven't listened to that one, it's this big purple button. I explain what the questions, why it's there, how it's used, and how it's developed. So you want to check out episode 4 in the archives. This week, I'm going to talk about our investigator research tools. I'm going to ad-lib this one and kind of walk you through what's there, how to use it, and whatnot, and go from there. Before I get into that, I just want to kind of give you some preface around why I have this page. So, as an investigator, there are products that you can purchase to assist with investigations. Not everybody has the means to pay for those things. I have a private investigating firm. Some of those things are a business expense, if you will, and we do use those databases when warranted and when legal authorization has been given. However, it's not available to the public. So because it's not available to the public, I can't share that information with you as well. And I also can't, or I can, but I won't tell you the items that we use because it's a trade secret for our investigating firm. However, as I go through investigations and stuff like that, I come across resources that are free, that are useful, and I've been creating a list where I can run to these because this website is not only designed for you to get information, it's also designed for me to use it in the field, kind of like a pocket handbook, if you will, with the phone. Pull the phone out. What do I need to do? I can measure some things on the spot. So along the way, I found some things that are free and that are interesting. I will explain a little bit on how to use them and why I use them, why they're important, why I added them to the resource page. If you want to know how to use them in great detail, I'm going to try and do some teaching stuff on my Patreon account. So that's patreon.com/heedtheworld. The link is in the description as well as the banner below. once I get enough Patreon supporters, then that will justify the time that I can set aside to create these things where I can explain how these things are used in more detail or why I use them. But in the meantime, we're just going to talk about what they're there. And they're on the website for free to use them. So you click on them and use them. If you're smart enough to figure it out, read the information there, then you're good to go. So this is a good resource for MUFON investigators, I guess. A little bit more advanced than what you have in your MUFON manuals. Which just shouldn't say a little more, a lot more advanced than what you have in your field investigator manuals. Trust me, I know. If you don't know my background, check out episode 1. So if you're an amateur investigator just looking to start out, even if you're a licensed investigator like myself, this is a good cheat sheet, if you will, that you should bookmark. I'll put it in the comments below. Those listening, those watching, if there's something that should be added to it that is free or has a free version, let us know. Admin at experienceyoursupport.org, and we'll add it to this ever-growing list. All right. So to get there, on our website, which is experienceyoursupport.org. Okay, so I'll put that website in our comments here for those who are new to the show and the channels. On our website, you go to the Investigations tab. In the Investigations tab, you will have something that is called Research and Investigation Tools. You're going to click on that. Oh, I just realized I sent you guys the wrong link. That's okay. Sorry. I'll send you this one once it loads. So you click on the Research and Investigation Tools. Experiencers, there is a resource link for you as well. There's not many resources there, unfortunately, because the mental health aspect, unfortunately, costs a lot of money. There's not too many free things out there and resources that can be obtained. I am working on creating some sort of assistance on that as well to make have a baseline support system in place, but we're not there yet. So I shouldn't talk more about that until we have things developed. All right. So once you click that, I'm going to put this proper link in the comments here. You're going to have a running list of things. I'll just break down the categories that I have so far. Okay, for the radio listeners, we have acronyms and definitions. We have classification system. We have data sets and reports. We have quick references, searchable databases, searchable mapping systems, tools. Yeah, tools, and that's the final grouping. Okay, so I'm just going to use the time to go through each of these. So under acronyms, we have and definitions, we have Canadian Armed Forces, free online flight simulator, a rocket launch manifest, and airport and airline codes. All right, so these links, click on them, right click them, however you want to go. Where did that go? So that hyperlink doesn't work. Good thing I tested it. Let's go to this one here. All right. So this one here is a free online flight simulator. So if you click on that, it'll bring you to this. Of course, they have their ads. It's called the Accessible Flight Simulator. It's a free web-based multiplayer global satellite with satellite images. So I like this because you can, as it says, you can simulate a flight. So if you have the trajectory, if you have the height, if you have all these other things in place for you, you can fly. You can mimic it. Okay, so when you're trying to understand what's happening in the sky, just going to mute the sound. Sorry about that. But from here, you can literally take off. I forget how to use this in a while. Hit the brakes, all these other things. Throw your throttle up. There we go here. Let's go. Let me see if I can get this guy going. Let's go. Radio. No, don't need that. Autopilot. Yeah, let's just do autopilot. Go. Go, 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 go. Can you go? Get this bird in the sky. Let's go. Let's go. I gotta use my arrow buttons. There we go. All right, so you can control the tabs up here to get your speed and whatnot, and your lift and all this other stuff. Once you get in the air, I'm not a pilot, so I'm not doing pretty good here on the spot. But once you, I have a cheat sheet that teaches me how to use this properly here. But this is a really cool resource to put you in the pilot seat when you see some things like that. All right, well, this rocket launch manifest, okay. And I'm just going to kind of preface here. I'm an expert in investigations and research and things like that. I ain't a pilot. I'm not an engineer. I'm a jack of all trades, but a master of none. All right. So this rocket manifest is a very neat little resource. It's updated. So June 12th. So that's scheduled for 2 days from now, 13th, 17th, all this other stuff. So this has a lot of events that you can cross-reference certain events in your investigations to determine whether or not certain planned rockets were sent into space. Or I should quote unquote space. We're not quite sure what's out there. So this is a nice resource that I often use to kind of give me an eye, to rule out, could it be a rocket? Okay, well, nothing was scheduled according to this website and things like that. Then we get into airport and airline codes. So when you get into the declassified documents, what you see on the website, so for those of you turning in, I think that's episode 2, declassified document archives here on our website. When you get into these, let me show you an example. Like this declassified document here. Will reference some airplanes and whatnot too, some aircraft. So then you can use that, cross-reference that, get your call sign, all these other things here, and you can learn lots of information about the airplane that was in the sky at the time of the sighting, or perhaps try to figure out if it's possible that any of these aircraft could be the unidentified object when you're doing your investigation. All right, so that covers the acronyms and definitions. This Canadian Armed Forces link that's not working right now should have a list of military acronyms. It did when I made the hyperlink, but I don't know why it's not there. So I'm going to make a note and fix that for us. Forces URL on tools. Okay, moving on. Classification system. So that's my ultraspectrum classification system. I do not have the Hynek classification system there. Why? Because the ultraspectrum classification system has the Hynek and Valley classification system in it, plus more. All right, so that's all there. A quick reference for those who want to use that scale to classify their events. If you want to learn how to use it, I think it's episode 2 again. Yeah, 3. Can't remember. Then we get into data sets and reports. So we spoke on these. So I have my Canadian Current Event Survey and my Paranormal, Ultraspectrum Paranormal Report. We did touch on these last episode, right, where you can purchase, you can see a sample of the breakdown of the data if you want to do the research yourself. If you want to purchase the books and reports that I published so far, you can do that as well, right there. What's funny, books you may like till I got a kid, eh? So that's that one. Quick references. So this is a list of drones eligible for advanced operation. So this one here, choose the right drones. So this is going to give you a detailed list of drones, manufacturers, as well as their model, and how they operate. So if you are trying to suggest that it's a drone, it'd be ideal if you try to pinpoint which type of drone, because there are lots of characteristics with drones that are not similar to all of them. There's very specifics here. So this will kind of get you down to the nuts and bolts of it. You take this name, model number, you do some research on this drone, and you'll be able to use that as some further information for your studies. Fireball events. This is important because sometimes these UFO sightings are in fact meteors or some fireballs. So these are instant reports that are made daily. Okay, so you can go all countries depending on where you are. So for me, for an example, I would go to Canada. You can report a fireball if you're sure there. And this is going to tell me, okay, so this event here, last fireball was June 1st. Look at the report. Okay, it was before that. It was after that. So it might not be this one. But just because it wasn't reported doesn't mean it's not a fireball. Well, this gives you a vantage point of where it was, what it looked like, where it was seen. In this case, there's a video, some images and stuff like that. So you can take that data, compare that to your investigation and see if that matches to rule it out. All right. Major meteor showers. So this is a schedule on when these showers will occur. So that's a quick resource as well. So 8 to 14. So we're in the middle of this meteor activity that's listed here. Probably the Gemini, isn't it? Because it's Gemini. So there's a good resource there, all right, to use. The next category is called searchable databases. So this is the KDOR's query search. This one in particular, if you understand declassified documents, if you understand aviation reports, all the stuff that I report online, this is how you get access to it, to find these things. But you got to know the details. You got to know the KDOR's report number. You got to know the occurrence date. All this information in here is helpful if you want to pinpoint something like that. But as long as you know the date, you can search the KDOR's report. So let me give you an example. Today's the 10th. Let's go back to June. And AOR number, don't need that. Occurrence location. Narrative. So if I were to say UFO, for an example. So let's go back a couple months. Do a search, keyword search here. This is on the Canadian website as well. Government website. No, there hasn't been one in a while. But anyways, it would come up here if you do that right. So that's a good resource too. And then you can do a Freedom of Information request if you know how to do that. Okay. Canada's UFO, the search for unknown. A lot of people don't know that Canada has declassified documents already. In 1992, I believe, is when they fully declassified everything that they knew. But in here, there's a library of archives that gives you you have to navigate. So if you type in UFO, let me see here. Then you're going to get a bunch of the archives there. So, of course, you can do a Freedom of Information request to learn about all these other stuff. I've already collected a majority of these things, but that's a good resource. Document event timeline, that's on our website. I've explained that as well. So for those of you new to the channel, every time I add a declassified report or an investigation or an article, I put it in the timeline so that way we can be up to date, keep track of these patterns, especially when I get a report today in 2024 and then I publish it. And then it's about something that happened in 1967. Well, then we can go back all the way. So once you go load more, you'll have a little runner over here on the right-hand side with dates. Just continue to go load more until you get the desired year in which you're looking to search in. Okay, 1967. As I mentioned, talk about what's going on in that year. It's a really good resource as well. So there's a quick link there on the resource thing. Fireball logs, much like the sighting reports, but this is more of a detailed log at the that will bring you specific to certain years and dates. If you're doing historical events, Living Atlas Web Archive. So, Web Map Archive. Polly Rotterman, I just saw your comment. Sorry. Hello. Hi. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Let me see here. This live map thing is really neat. You can find things to kind of rule some things out. So let me give you an example here, like earthquakes. If you think it might be an earthquake, I think you can do nuclear. Let me see here. No, power plant, power. Yeah, so power plants and things like that. So if you're tracing or studying something along the lines of, do UFOs correlate with power plants? This is a good resource because here's all your power plants. Not just a few. There's a lot. Okay, not just the big ones that they're known for. There's a lot of small power plants and things like that. But you got majority of that in in the United States. And it bleeds over, of course, into Canada. So that's just an example of how to use that resource. Then you have live air traffic. A lot of you are familiar with this one. Not this one. It's Flight Radar 24. This one here is awesome because you can hear the radio. It records the transmission from the pilot to the ATC, so the air traffic controller. And if it resets, I think daily or every 12 to 6 hours. So if you're lucky enough to know that something was seen in the sky, you can go back and pull the log, listen to the audio recording, and you can get the audio sample from the pilot describing the case. So let me give you an example of how I've done that. So if I'm going to go to the Declassified Documents Archive on the website, just because I know what the thumbnail looks like when I see it. Just going to next page. So this one here, pilot unusual lights over Quebec on February 12, 2023, audio recording. So that audio recording came from this live air traffic controller, but I was lucky enough to catch it before it was refreshed, because there's always pilots in the sky, there's always birds in the sky, and there's always recordings, and it's always there. So you got to catch it. And then we made a video out of it, and here's the transcript of all that other stuff, which is quite interesting. So if you guys want to check that one out, I'll put that in the comments as well. Polly says, cool. Thank you, Polly. I appreciate that. So that's just an example in real time of why that's important if you want to do that. And hey, if you guys are doing this work and you're watching this, do it with TESA. Help me. I need help. I do. This is all this stuff that I'm doing. It makes my work easy. I'm making it so I can take it on the go, but I'm doing it open source so others can learn from it. But if you guys want to volunteer your time or help with all these things, let us know. admin@experienceyoursupport.org. I definitely could use an extra set of hands to do all these things. And it would increase the speed of getting this information out. I want to do things a certain way. It needs to be done a certain way. Less is more. But unfortunately, I'm a one-man show when it comes to investigations. That's just the way that it is. And I got to balance life and everything else. So if you guys want disclosure, you guys want answers, I need help. So I'll leave that there. Previously released ATIP documents, UFO specific. So that's just a hyperlink. If you want to pull up some documents that have already been requested, so you don't have to pay for them. There's a quick little link there. It's not working, but it's okay. Trust me, they work. Both of them are there. Royal Canadian Air Force aircraft list. This is also good if you want to do a quick comparison of hey, you know what? That description sounds like a CF-118 Hornet. All right, I'm going to click on this fighter jet. I'm going to see the specifics on that, and then I can do some math or some calculations to determine whether or not it's likely. Maybe do a Freedom of Information request to determine if this bird was in the sky around the time of the sighting, all that kind of stuff. So this is a nice little resource if you were able to identify a possible aircraft. Like if somebody says, "Oh, it looks like a certain type of aircraft," if you can narrow that down with your experience here, that would be a helpful resource. Weather underground. This is this is an old trick from MUFON. It's a very good resource. You need to know the weather, especially if you're doing historical cases. If this happened last week, a few months ago, we want to find out, got to look at the weather. If they say it's not windy, we still need to verify if it's been windy. If the object is moving east, right, from west, and they say it wasn't windy, and then we check this and it turns out that the wind was moving in the same direction, well, then you got some data to reinforce the possibility, because the people on the sky, on the ground, don't necessarily understand all of these things. I don't understand all these things myself, which is why this resource has developed over time. I know a thing or two because I've done a lot of the crap for many, many years, but I have only scratched the surface. There's only I am not an expert. I'm still learning. And I may be close with my hunches and my guesses, but I mean, I'm not confident enough to take this to court. Like, not yet, anyways. But this is a very good thing to rule out some of this. Yandex is an open source searchable engine. So a lot of Google and all this other stuff are they do shadow banning. Pardon me. Polly says, "Tell me what you need." Well, if you have resources or you think you tell me what you want to do, Polly. Just I'm going to put this email in the chat here. Admin. For the radio listeners, admin at experiencersupport.org. Send an email so you want to help out. Make a list of what it is that you want to do or what you think you could be good at, and then we can have a conversation in private about that. All right. Thank you for your interest, and I appreciate that. Lisa says, only way disclosure is going to happen if a lot of people work together for it to happen. Whistleblowers like groups, etc., are not enough. Okay, let's pause and let's get the skeptical sleuth hat on here and talk about what you just said. So it's not the only way disclosure is going to happen. It is a way disclosure is going to happen. I think disclosure has already happened. It's confirmation that universally all these things exist, so that way a majority of people who have had these experiences can get validation. But if disclosure has already happened, you can put the pieces together, and that's comfortable for you. Yes, we need to work together. Whistleblowers are helpful. Yes, if they're blowing a whistle that is of importance. David Grush had made a huge claim about something that was observed by other people. So he's not a witness to that. Doesn't make him credible. And it's been over a year since he's made those claims, and no evidence has come forward. So, like Schrodinger's cat, that information is real and not real at the same time. Just like Elizondo. There's information that recently came forward. If you check my Facebook page, my LinkedIn, I didn't put it on Twitter because it was already there, because it's going around right now. We just got some declassified documents from the United States government that shows that during the time that Elizondo claims he was in service in the UFO programs, it doesn't list it. Now, that would suggest that he's not part of that program. But that doesn't mean he wasn't, because it's typical for them to be vague in their explanations. Maybe they're not going to use the word UFO. Maybe they're not going to use UAP to specifically tell that when they're declassifying a document to remove that stigma. And that makes it very controversial, because on one hand, he can say it happened. On the other hand, we have evidence that says it didn't happen. And he could be saying that they're omitting stuff, and the government could be omitting stuff because they redact stuff, and we really don't know. There's no transparency. So my hunch and my gut tells me that Gross, Elizondo is a distraction. So, I mean, but it's still possible that he's telling the truth. And if it ever came if there an opportunity ever came where he were to reach out to me and talk to me and give me the opportunity to be satisfied that he may be onto something, then I would be willing to assist in that. All right. I do have people in his circle that are upset that I've been, because I don't know if I'm being groomed here or being tested, but if that is true and you're listening to me, I'm on the fence. So if you want me to be in the Elizondo camp, you need to show me something that goes against the evidence that suggests that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay. That's where I'm at with that. So thank you, Lisa, for that question. Kind of derailed me a little bit, but I just wanted to share that and put that on the record. Michael J. Schumann. Hello, Ryan, Stacy. Good to see you again. Hello to all the other viewers. Good to see you. Thank you, Michael, for tuning in from Facebook. Polly says she will reach out. Awesome. I'm looking forward to that email. Michael says, something has happened to me. Happened to the transmission. I don't know if it's on my end or yours, but I'm not getting anything now. Sorry about that. I hope you can hear that as we speak right now. Let us know. All right. So, as I mentioned, the index and Google. So, flat Earth is a really good example to use. It doesn't mean that the Earth is flat, like a literal pancake. Okay. Hills and valleys and things like that. But I like the flat Earth environment because a lot of the conspiracies that I work in fits when working with a azimuth, what's that map called? AE map, equilateral, equal distance map, basically the flat Earth map, because it's a topical view of the Earth, assuming that everything's on a flat plane. And then when you put that map on a globe, you get your globe. So it's the same map that's kind of used for both theories or versions of the shape of the Earth. But what I like about what I'm explaining to you is here's an example of shadow banding. So if flat Earth is real or not real, we do know that Google suppresses. Oh, flat eagle. What was I thinking? Flat Earth. Okay, so you get your generic videos. Okay, flat Earth. How to, a lot of it should be, as I would expect on Google, is making fun of flat Earth, showing explanations of the globe, all these other things. This is what you would expect to see on Google, right? Mark. Good, yeah, I had him on our podcast a few years ago. Things like that. Now, if you search the same thing on Yandex, you're going to get still hits, but you're going to get more information that kind of explains the science behind it. Now, I'm not saying that this is the way that things are. I'm just using this as an example to show that searching for the same thing in different databases is important because they do filter. They do hide things. And if there's something about the flat Earth scenario being true, they can't just hide parts of it because that would require a huge, huge task and a lot of money. They would have to hide all of it. So then you can, look at what's true and what's not true and come to your own conclusions. And the best way to come to your own conclusion, go outside, look around and see what makes sense to you. And for those of you who are on the fence, we don't mean a literal pancake like this. It just means it doesn't rotate and the sun and the moon is local. So think about that. All right. Moving on. Maybe one day I'll do a flat Earth episode, but I don't know how that would be. Searchable mapping systems. Let's see if there's any other comments. Michael says I'm back on. Perfect. Okay, so this air nav radar box. Similar to flight radar. Okay, I like to use more than one to measure to make sure that this information is accurate because we never know when the updates are coming and all this other stuff. So here you can actually track in real time or see in real time, where planes are traveling and whatnot. So this is a really good resource. This is what's expected. Air traffic control needs to know this. It's a civilian resource. Flight Aware says real-time air traffic trends and aviation photos. This database here, if you know the flight number, you can get some details. Again, to help rule out whether or not some testimonies are legitimate. Okay, so this is all available and free information to help cross-reference experience reports. Flight Radar 24, this is infamous. We've used this in MUFON. They talk about it, but this is really it's more of the same. I do enjoy this one a little bit better because I get some visuals with it. I get some other traceable informations like the airport. Like it's really nice. And then on the flat Earth topic of things, since I'm using this Mercator map, can I see anything? Oh. I don't know why that's zooming out. Zoom out. Come on, zoom out. There we go. You're not going to see, if you check out these flight paths in these directions and stuff, you can see where they're heading. but you're not going to see anything that's going over Antarctica. And you're not going to see anything that's going over the North Pole because they're restricted airspace. Just want to put that out there for the flat earthers in there. Okay, Google Earth Web. This is also a good resource. Everybody should know about this one. It's been around. Everybody uses it. It's in your phone. But there is an online version of this. Of course, you want to put some pins in there. You want to zoom out and do all these other things and look at everything. That's a really good resource there. Of course, a lovely picture of space. If it does exist, who knows? Just loading this resource. So here is going to show you the sky, certain constellations, the moon. This is astronomical data. That's very important. Maybe there's some planetary alignments. Maybe there's a rare viewing of Venus. These are things that you need to check, and these are quick resources to allow you to do that, to rule these things out. Live map of satellite positions. This is important. Okay. If you can go back in time. So if I wanted to, or even go into the future, because a lot of this stuff has been predicted. The computer's a little slow. So if I go back even a year, let's come on. Anyways, this is the sky. So this is a good resource to see, because some of these things, so there's Mars there, there's a satellite there. Like there's these types of quick resources to help recreate the event, if you will. Prohibited airspace for flying drones in Canada. This is a good resource because you can see where drones are allowed to fly. If you're in a prohibited area or near one, there's a possibility it's not a drone. But there's still a possibility that it is a drone, because humans break laws all the time. You cannot assume that because it's restricted airspace that it's government either. All right. But this kind of gives you a ballpark to know what questions you should be asking and where you're going to lean in terms of a balance of probability. Satellite space map. Fuck it. Pardon me. So all these satellites are here. I think this is Starlink. Yeah, this is mostly Starlink too. So you can get an idea of all of the satellites that are around us. All right. For you people debating the shape of the Earth, take a picture of the moon. Tell me why you don't see any of this garbage when you're taking pictures of space. I need an answer for that. All right. Starlink finders, same idea. If you want to rule out whether or not it's Starlink, you can put those things in there, and it's all there. Stellarium. This is a MUFON resource that we like to use. There's a paid version, but which I use the paid version with Stellarium, but they come out with this mobile version, which is really nice. You can recreate the event as well. You can see constellations, whatever is relevant. Okay, less is more. You need to, using the software is not one thing. Okay, you also have to have an analytical mind to know what question you have and what answer, what tool you need to use to answer that question in your report. All right, and I'll teach you all that on my Patreon if you're interested. Vessel tracker. Okay. UFOs and under USO, so unidentified submergible objects are a thing as well, and this gives us a good understanding of vessels and ports. Okay, to determine that maybe when you see really far, and there's that illusion of a curvature. And these planes and these ships disappear and all these other things, that's, this is a good resource for that. It's more on the flat Earth side of things, but that's it can be used in UFO investigations. Visual evidence database. So this is another database by TESA. Okay. I've explained this one in previous episodes. These are investigations and cases. I am working on updating this to make this a little bit more current. So I have a long list of things to add to that. If you guys have any experience on the back end of a WordPress website, let me know. So there's that resource there. Well, that hour flew by quick. Let me, almost done here. This list is ever growing. Like I said, bookmark this list. And every time you need to do something, just look, there'll be something new. The last section here is tools. So color name finder. This is a neat resource. Like if, like for example here, I want to know what color this is. I can click on it. It's going to tell me the name of it. It's going to give me the hex code, all these shades on that. Why is this important? This is important when you're trying to determine whether or not the pixels have been manipulated in a photoshopped image. All right, that's important. Okay, find lot size. This one here is important if you want to get an idea of how big an area is. Okay, let me see here if I can do, I got a marker. Can I do this quick? Zoom in here, somewhere up in Sudbury. Sure, let's pick Sudbury. Load of measurement says basketball longitude. Let's see. I don't know why my computer's moving so slow. Let's just go Sudbury, Ontario. If anybody in Sudbury, shout out. So then I can put a pin here. And then I'm going to, yeah. Come on. Where's it going? Anyways, I forget how to use that one. Apologize. Photo forensics. I haven't used that one in a while. This one's cool. You can take an image or upload a file. Let's see here. Can I move that folder over? No, I can't move that. So, here's a recent image that I created using AI. If we're to upload that image, this is going to give me pixels. So I can tell by this, whether or not it's been copied and pasted. So these little images here gives me a quick reference that shows evidence of graphic design. This is important when you're trying to determine, and then of course you get metadata about it, all that other stuff, trying to determine the authenticity of an image that's been submitted. Okay, GPS coordinates, you need this. If you don't have the GPS coordinates to find it on Google Earth or any of that stuff, you use this website. It will convert it to different forms of GPS coordinates, and that's a really good resource to help you narrow down. Sometimes in these declassified documents, we get GPS coordinates, and I need those to pinpoint where the situation went. This one, situation recreation, also known as SitRec. This comes from Mick West. If you guys follow his work on Twitter and everywhere else, this is an amazing resource to help solve some of the biggest UFO stuff, such as the Tic Tac and the gimbal and all this other stuff. This is a really good, interesting system. He has a video that he can use that teaches you how to use it, but this is a good resource to identify a lot of flying objects. Time zone converter. If you guys are working in time zones, this is also good because this is a thing. Like I'm in Ontario, I get a report from somebody in Alberta or Manitoba or PEI. We're in different time zones. So when I'm going to use another resource such as let's say Stellarium Web, Okay, so I'm going to use that one. So in order for me to recreate the event, it knows where I am in the Eastern time zone, and then I can go back and find the date, put it all in there, and do whatever I need to do. But wait a minute, I'm in Ontario. This event happened in PEI, so then I gotta, so then I would need to put put that in there. So PEI. So okay, so Prince Edward Island, Canada. So we'll say Charlottetown, however you want to say it. So that gives me their time right now. Right, so it's 6 p.m. No, that's not right because it's 10 to 6 here. Are they Eastern as well? So that's their time currently, I suppose. Current time. Oh no, there it is there. Okay, so that we'll use that to convert it to the proper time, so that way the map shown in Stellarium and other things as well will reflect an accurate depiction of what you're recreating. A lot of the times people don't do that, which makes their math wrong. You got to make sure you are looking in the experiencer's time zone, not your own. Okay, I want to stress that a lot. Time zone map. So if you want a quick reference, because a lot of these crafts travel amongst time zones. So this is a nice little resource to kind of track some stuff here, such as the Chinese spy balloon. For many of you for those who don't know, I'm the one who identified that Chinese spy balloon that crashed in Canada. I've got the declassified document. It was on the news, blah, 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 blah. I used a system like this to be able to pinpoint the pattern and whatnot. So so that's that. WeTransfer is a very good resource if you got a big video or image files that you want to share. It does a virus scan. You can email it. You keep a receipt of whether or not somebody downloaded the file and whatnot too. So, and then of course, time zone converters. Most of the things in KDOR reports are in universal time. And then there's also Zulu to local time converter. Okay. When you get a report that's in a universal time code, you still need, if you're doing work, do the work in the UTC. If you can't do it in the UTC, then convert it to your own time zone so it makes sense. But if you're for the time, but if it, this is where we need a more complex lesson to kind of explain scenarios here. So you got to be smart enough to figure out that it's not just the time that gets converted and all these other things. So I'm going to leave it at that because I only got a few minutes left. That's the last one anyways. So let me just get my screen back up here. What was I going to say? When you're working on these cases, the biggest thing is there's a lot of information that you need to cross-reference. You have to remember to put yourself in the experiencer's shoes, especially with time and proximity. Give you an example of a time construct. The calendar that we have is the Julian calendar, I believe. And, that wasn't the original calendar. The original calendar had 13 months, each of 28 days. Monday and Sunday, all those days would end up on the same day. The holidays would be the same day every year. Down the road, they added the month July and August for Julius and Augustine or Augustus, the Roman. Yeah, I can't remember the Romans. They wanted to add these couple of months and change everything all around to hide that 13th month in our calendar. This is something that has really happened, right? So here's an example where if we use this calendar that we have and do the math, assuming that this traditional calendar that we use is accurate, that math is accurate. This answer is accurate. But if I believe that there's 13 months, that day in this Julian calendar is not the same day in the 13th month calendar. So we have an issue there where we're not using the right system to do the math. The math will always be right. The person will always be right. But if we're using the wrong tools, we're wrong. Understand? Again, another example, using the flat Earth reference. If the Earth is non-rotational, plane that doesn't move, or a globe that rotates X amount of speed, all that other thing, planets around it, blah, blah, blah. Whether we're the center of the universe, the sun is, or the Earth is, it's important to know which one is true because they're both theories. Okay? It's important to know which ones are true because when you do your math and you do your measurements on the wrong map, you're going to get confused. And this is where, if a map is involved, I'll use a flat Earth map and I'll use a globe, as much as it frustrates me, because the flat Earth map makes sense to me. That doesn't mean the Earth is flat. It just means that map is easier to work with than a globe. I spin it around and look around, but I get to see everything else on this flat map. And, every time I work with a 13th month calendar, I'm able to make predictions using the 12-month calendar, missing a month, 31 days, 30, 28 in February, all that other stuff. I got to do some extra math, and I got to double check and do all these other things. So even time is a construct as well when we have time zones. So the time zones are in place to allow us to have equal amount of day and time, but that was created by man, right? The sun goes down, the sun gets up. If the Earth is a globe, then the sun goes around, or the Earth goes around, and you got all that other stuff. But if it's a flat plane with hills and valleys, then the sun just goes across. And it goes across the time zones because it's moving across. It's local, right? Both theories. Now, NASA gives the theory of space. Majority of us are not astronauts. Doesn't mean NASA's telling the truth. It's possible, but NASA lies, pulls a feed, and all these other things. Remember, we can't go past Earth's orbit. The Van Allen belt, all that other stuff, that's not very high. We get high high things about Jupiter and all these other things, but we can't get a picture of the moon. So there's a lot of things. But then if you measure with a flat Earth map, you can start to see linear patterns. Okay. The problem that I have with this is you got two different maps, you got two different calendars, you got many different time zones. So everybody who is an expert in anything, believing these constructs, will be right, but both of them will be wrong. All of them will be wrong. Okay. And it's a challenge. So what do? I measure in every single one of them. I compare and contrast, right? Doesn't matter what shape it is. Doesn't matter what month it is. I need to triangulate and measure many different ways to get an honest answer. And then I go from there. And then that becomes a guess because I didn't experience it. What are we left with? Well, hey, so-and-so experiencer, I've ruled out the possibility of being a spacecraft, aircraft, and this craft because we checked all these things. These things weren't in the sky at that time. We were able to determine that there were no other planets in the sky at that time in that direction. So if we assume that the information you gave me is accurate, it's possible that you saw something that wasn't categorized. That doesn't mean that someone was flying illegally and didn't register. That's a possibility. So we can't assume that it's aliens. We're just ruling out all these possibilities, and you start to look at these characteristics and stuff because you want to validate the experiencer and their experience. But at the same time, you can't just say, it's aliens. You can't unless you see the object or see the aliens themselves. And then, we got to get into the mental experiences and all that other stuff. But anyways, I'm just going to wrap it from there. It is my birthday episode. I got to run downstairs and being Paige. I'm just going to let my wife know I'm coming down in 2 minutes. So everyone's excited. And so thanks for tuning in, everybody. What did Lisa say? Sorry about the buffering. I don't know what's going on. It might be your end. I do apologize. Lisa says, it's what people believe. If you believe it's flat, it's fine with me. But if you believe it's round, it's fine with me. But until you see it, like everything else, you will know. Yeah, to me, the shape doesn't really matter to me. It's apples and oranges. It really makes no difference. But if it is not the shape in which we're told, that's a problem. And when I look with my eyes and I observe and I see things, I can understand the science, but I also understand the science on the globe side too. But I'm not an astronaut. I can't go to space. I can't confirm these things. But I can confirm what I see from my eyes. And that's kind of where we get at. But just because I can't get there doesn't mean it's not possible. Right? We have to look at everything from every single angle. Bottom line is the shape of the Earth doesn't matter unless the extraterrestrials are coming from extra land that are beyond the ice wall. Then that matters. Because instead of looking up in space, we should be looking outwards, which means we're looking in the wrong direction, which means we're distracted. All theory, all possibilities. This is why it's convoluted. It's complex. So when we get into these, another reason why I created the ultra-spectrum classification system is to remove these speculations and just be like, okay, it's on Earth. Doesn't matter what the shape it is. It's not on another planet. So we don't have to look at Mars. We don't have to look at the moon. We just got to focus on Earth. It happened on this day. It was 7 days ago. It doesn't matter what the date is, whether it's 6,000 BC or a year of the light, for the Masonries, or it's 2024. It doesn't matter. It was 7 days ago. That's a constant, right? So we use certain things that we can measure that removes these systems. But that's more complex, and that'll be more in my course on Patreon once I get that going. I'll explain that in a more professional way that and compounded, so I can build up to it. This is a crash course. I'm just rambling here. I'm speaking from mind. I don't have time to clarify. I don't have time to explain things. So, fact check your stuff. Use the index, search stuff, learn for yourself, and we'll go from there. All right. So, let me just close this off here. Do you want to head over to my Patreon, Hate the World? It's on there. Please support. Keeps this free for members, and everybody else keeps the program going. Tune in tomorrow for a podcast, Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. My friend, comedian, magician Danny Whitson is on at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the TESA channel and the UPNR channels. And one more thing before you go. If you're interested in supporting my work, come on now, hit the submit a report button. Okay, if you had a mysterious encounter with the paranormal, UFOs, extraterrestrials, or any other paracryptid, head over to this button here, experiencesupport.org, and submit your report. And the more reports we get, the more I will understand these people and the phenomenon and how they affect them, and let the others who have already reported be that example that proves that we are making a difference. And if it wasn't for these reports, I would not be able to do what I do, and I thank you. All right, so thanks for tuning in. I need to remind you that you're listening to the Skeptical Sleuth, broadcasting live in the United Public Radio Network, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We are also broadcasting live on social media through the Experiencer Support Network, as Experiencer Support Association Network. And so remember, one lie is enough to question all truths. Thanks for watching. As always, keep your eyes in the sky. Hate the world. Peace.
If you want to really, really find out about Ryan, ask him about all his work and UFOs in Ontario.
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada.
I have used his research extensively. He's much more than a one-dimensional character. He's an authority on UFOs and investigating them, Meg.
Wow!
really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. For starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them.
He would come out with an annual report on not only the number of sightings, but how many were unexplained, unknown, or just, nothing could be said. What caused
If you
it?
want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richarddolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.